Joining us this morning to talk about that and a lot of other things, Senator Richard Shelby, who hails from Alabama, ranking member of the Banking Committee and a member of the Appropriations Committee, joins us from the Hill. Senator, wish you were here, although the weather is not beautiful.
I'd like to be there because there's a lot going on in Calvert, Alabama, and all over my state of Alabama.
Yes, beautiful ThyssenKrupp facility that we're in today. Hey, quickly on the health care measure, legislation that you co-sponsored. Obviously, I doubt you're surprised, but your reaction to the vote, and now that you have Democrats on the record, how do you play that as we gear up for 2012?
I thought it was a good first step. It was more than just a symbol because 47 of us voted for repeal. The Democrats voted otherwise. They are on record, as you say. We've got a couple of federal judges that have ruled all or part of the bill unconstitutional. So it's going to wind up in the courts. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to fight this here on Capitol Hill.
So there will be other legislation that attempts to do the same thing?
Well, I would think so from time to time. You know, there will be appropriations bills coming up where they'll be trying to implement with taxpayers' money some of the first stages of this. These will be big fights over health care themselves.
What odds would you give that the Supreme Court will in fact hear the case?
I would say, I'm guessing, but I would say pretty good odds. It's a very important case. I think they ought to hear it, and I think they ought to look at it like the judge in Florida did. You can't make people do things like that, in my judgment, buy insurance.
Moving on to other things the president talked about in his State of the Union. A lot of Republicans have been critical of his investing thesis, this Sputnik moment, this idea that government needs to continue to spend to make the country more innovative. You know, one of the things we find here in Alabama, as you know, is that government is a pretty good partner with a lot of these private companies and getting them to invest in the state. Are you worried that if the president doesn't win on that front, that somehow it can hurt your constituents?
No, I don't think so. I think the people of Alabama, the local and the state, even the city and county officials, town, they're working together to create conditions. That is infrastructure, a good tax policy. We have a right to work law there to say we're open for business here in the state. Is at times government R&D very important? It is. But we saw from the stimulus bill, which I oppose, are we better off with that? I doubt it after we spent nearly $1 trillion. What we need to do is send the message to private industry, and we're doing it in Alabama. We've brought billions and billions of dollars to our state for investment because we're open for business. We got the conditions there to have companies to flourish.
The tax compromise, it's been almost 2 months since the president signed that. A lot of Americans feeling the benefits of that payroll tax cut, some of the R&D credits. Are you seeing any signs that businesses are opening their wallets a little bit more to invest or even hire because of that legislation?
I think that the tax, extending the tax cuts were very important to business because it brought about some certainty even for 2 years. And I think that's going to help some. You see some of the companies beginning to hire a little bit. But we've got to do more. We've got to straighten our banks out, and we've got to confront the real problem of the debt of this nation. That's #1 issue in my judgment.
Yeah. And finally, you mentioned the banks. I heard the other day that one more bank pays back TARP. TARP may be in the black. Does that change your view or the fact that you opposed it make you feel any differently about the position you took back then?
Absolutely not. I think that when you bail out failing institutions, you know, you're risking the taxpayers and you're sending a message to the ones that have done well, but, you know, it doesn't matter. And if you say institutions are too big to fail, that's the wrong message to the market.